What's up, golfers? Welcome to the 21st century.
It's about family, it's about fitness, it's about fun, and it's about fast.
It's about changing perceptions about the sport of golf. Golf is a fitness sport.
This is something I've never ever thought of playing, but I actually really think it would be fun.
I had to wait 25 minutes on that tee box. The fact that I'm not doing anything about this is the reason that it persists.
That's what we need in the industry.
It is undeniably different.
And we are back for episode 30 today. Thank you for tuning in to the Pace of Change Golf Podcast, where we are broadcasting the evolution of golf in the 21st century, and I know you want to be a part of it. Thank you every week. Our listenership grows. People are interested in what is coming. And you know what? I like to consider myself somebody who thinks about the future, way out there. But what if we could have somebody on the show that really was a futurist? Well, that's what we got today. We have a man who puts together keynote speeches, has conversations with the top CEOs of some of the biggest corporations in the world, and he flies around the world, plays fantastic, amazing golf courses, and then gives keynote speeches about what is coming, the trends, the innovations, the future. And that's right, we have got Jim Carroll, keynote speaker. He spoke at the PGA of America. We got Jim Carroll on the podcast, On the Pace of Change, and he's going to tell us what's coming in the world of golf. Hey, before that, have you checked out our website, paceofchange.com? All right, we've got our latest podcast episodes that you can listen to there. Take you right to iTunes or YouTube. Hey, join the Pace of Change today. Do it. Sign up. We're going to keep you updated on the latest POC podcast news, announcements, and updates, product reviews. And remember, the next time you play, pick up the pace. Hey, our social feed, Alex Van Allen, founder of Fling Golf, just came out with NHL team fling sticks. So the grip, it's actually the logo of the NHL team. Get yours today. Be sure to use the code IG2000 at checkout. Hey man, embrace the change. You know it's coming. It's happening. People are talking about it everywhere. If you got an idea for a guest on the show or even a sponsor of the show, let us know. Drop a line on the website there. We've also got all of our past episodes and show notes. It's time to talk future with Jim Carroll. Jim, thanks for coming on. Let's do this. Jim Carroll, one of the world's leading global futurist trends and innovation experts, whose clients include, companies like NASA, Walt Disney, PGA of America, which we'll talk about, Wall Street Journal, DuPont, Siemens, Lockheed Martin. I'm just going to stop right there because we could go on and on and on. So, Jim, thank you for being on the podcast today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So, yeah, we want to talk about golf. I know you spoke to the PGA of America, and then they invited you to come do the keynote earlier this year at the merchandise show. Isn't that right?
Yeah, it's the second time they had me in, and it's, probably, just put in perspective why I was there and what I do. I've been out on the speaker circuit for about 20 years, and, you mentioned the client list, and, essentially what I do is I go into a lot of really big organizations, associations, help them think about the future, what's coming next, where we're going to be 2 years out, 5 years out, 10 years out, 20 years out, and what they need to do in terms of this big idea of innovation to keep up with those trends. And, I was thrilled to be invited in by the PGA of America. It was actually Jim Remy found me and brought me into their 2010 annual meeting in Boston. I had 500 golf pros in the room. And, I was talking about, what do we need to do to grow the game? How do we reach out to this millennial generation? How do we utilize technology to try to attract more people in the game? How do we reach these mums, who are on Facebook, and are thinking about putting their kids into tournament play and utilizing that as a tool, social networking, all that type of stuff. So that went extremely well. Made a whole bunch of new friends in the world of golf, which is really cool.
Right.
And then, this year they, Jeff Price, who's the CEO of the PGA of America, invited me down to open the merchandise show. I was on stage after Lee Trevino, and Bubba Watson, came on after me. And my whole focus was really zoomed in on how do we utilize tech to grow the game. I mean, millennials, I know they're all about tech. How do we use things like game golf and Top Golf and all these magical technologies out there to get more people involved and interested in the game? And it's just been a huge amount of fun, a really good relationship.
Yeah, I mean, I listen to guys like Elon Musk who basically says we're kind of already cyborgs. I mean, we don't have a computer attached to our person yet, but we essentially have a supercomputer. Almost every person in the Western world has a supercomputer if they have an iPhone or a Samsung or whatever, I mean, attached to them. And so, yeah, the fact that we've got a sport here that hasn't been as inclusive with technology, yeah, it's time to take advantage of that, because it's just, for us, for the older generation, it might seem like, wow, but for the younger generation, it's just part of life. It makes complete total sense.
I mean, I'm living it. So, I mean, let's go on the record. I'm a high handicap. I'm down to a 17 right now. I started late in life. I started at 50.
Yeah.
I've got a 21-year-old son who's a one handicap, and that drove me to get into the game. And the other thing is, most of what I do, I just travel to nice golf resorts all over the U.S., where I'm doing my keynote presentations.
Not bad.
And I'd be sitting inside looking out and going, like, I need to be out there. So, I mean, I'm a passionate golfer today. I've got a game golf device.
Yeah.
And I was out yesterday. I'm going out again in about an hour. And, it's kind of magical what that tech shows me. My last 20 rounds within 100 yards, 31% of my shots are short. Got a club up.
Yeah.
I fixed my slice within 100 yards. Only 7% are right and 6% are left, and only 2% are long, right? So, I mean, I get this amazing insight. So that's one GPS device. Then I've got my GPS watch. I'm 57. A few years from now, I'll have my GPS cart. It's going to follow me around. I won't have to, have a clicker. It'll just follow me. I'm going to have a drone floating over my head filming my round. It's going to GPS track me. I mean, I'll probably be out there within 5 years with 6 or 7 or 8 GPS devices as part of my golf game.
Yeah. That's
going to freak a lot of the purists out.
Yeah.
Is it going to wreck the game? Is it going to destroy the game? Too much tech, et cetera. Who knows?
Yeah.
But we know this next generation is fundamentally different. We know we have to think in different ways to get them into the game. We know that tech is a huge part of their lives, so why not, think about this as a means of drawing them into the game?
That's so great. You know what? We can jump into the future so fast and spend our whole time there, but I do want to go back a little bit, Jim, and try to capture the seed of what has become your career, what has become a 20-year speaking career, what has become, you being a trends and innovation expert, which to me, trends and innovation expert talks about maybe the kind of the short-term future. When I hear the word futurist, and not a lot of people are using that word, it's a word I highly respect, because I like to think of myself as somebody that looks even out beyond 5 years, even out beyond 10 years. So where did this seed of you having a desire to look out into the future, to see that and kind of pull it back into today's world, when did that happen for you?
I was on the internet long before there was an internet. I mean, I got online in like 1982.
Oh my God.
And I'm actually an accountant, work with a big accounting firm, and got, very involved in tech, and saw this huge wave of change coming, and just decided to abandon the exciting career of accountancy and, just get fully fledged into the future. So, I mean, a lot of it was technology based. I was talking about the internet 10 years before the internet appeared, and, advising, CEOs that there's this massive global transformation coming. A lot of people didn't listen back then, but I wrote 34 books about the internet in the 90s, sold 1 million books. It was all around tech in the 90s, but, realized that I was talking broader than that: social trends, demographic trends, economic trends, political trends. And, just woke up one day and realized, well, really what I am is a futurist. I'm advising people on, what's coming next. And it's kind of fascinating. I mean, some of my upcoming events, I'm doing a talk for the American Concrete Institute.
Yeah, okay. Nice.
Driving my family nuts because, I'm saying it's going to take a lot of solid foundational work to get there. It's going to take a lot of hard work, like they're sick of me.
Yeah.
But you think about that. What's going on is huge developments in terms of architectural design, new methods of construction, new concepts in terms of what is a city and how can we lay out a city, and all that influences what we might do in the concrete industry. I'm in Florida next week, Amelia Island, Jacksonville. I'm at the Ritz-Carlton, great golf resort.
Bring it on.
Talked to a bunch of insurance CEOs about what's coming next in the world of insurance. And so, I mean, that's what I do, just a whole range of different industries with very customized insight on what's going on. And that's what I did when I went into the PGA. It was, look, here's what's happening in the world of golf, things you might not be thinking about, things you need to be thinking about, things you need to be doing in terms of where we might be, 5-10 years out.
Okay, so then, and as a futurist, there's a skill that's involved. There's research. There's things that you can learn to do to be forward looking. But there's also got to be an art to it. Kind of the way I think about it is sometimes I step up to a 15-footer. I know you've done this too, and you already know it's going to go in before you putt it. There's just those certain times where you have that absolute confidence that it kind of doesn't matter what happens between now and the ball goes in. Like I have this sense, I have this feeling that this ball is going to go in.
Gee, I wish I had that.
Come on, you have that. I'm not saying that happens all the time, but that's what we're looking for when we're kind of in that zone and in that flow state. And how much does that zone and the flow state play a role as kind of the art side of what you do? Because there is the research side, but then there has to be this other side of you that gets a feeling or gets an instinct that, like, yes, what I'm seeing in my head and what I'm imagining based upon all of this research and data, I could really see this. I've got a strong level of confidence that this is coming.
It's really not that hard. Well, maybe it is, but I don't think it's that hard. I mean, I have the opportunity to hear from a lot of people, listen to a lot of people. I mean, I have a lot of calls with a lot of CEOs.
Right.
Who are bringing me into their organizations, and they're telling me what they're thinking, what they're worried about. And I mean, that certainly shapes my view of where we're going in the future. I do a lot of really intense research. I mean, for this insurance conference I'm speaking at next week, I just downloaded 473 articles on very specific trends going forward with insurance. Articles appearing in publications in Hong Kong, Singapore, Beijing, London, Frankfurt, Zurich. I mean, I'll go through those articles and, dig out nuggets of information and insight and, all that type of stuff. And it's also, what I find online. I mean, I call it the big global idea machine. That's where we're in the midst of right now. I mean, we've never had this opportunity in the world to plug into people who have ideas. So, I mean, you've got your speed golf group on Facebook. Rich O'Brien has his Golf Grow the Game initiative, which is just absolutely, incredible in terms of ideas to shape the game. He's got another one called, based around the idea of mums in golf and how do we draw, mums into the game as a growth tool. I mean, you just get these incredible ideas from PGA pros across the country as to things they're trying out to grow the game. Right. It's an idea machine. So, I mean, it's all those types of tools that, help me do what I do. And, I think a lot of folks are doing that today. I've just bundled this into a career called the Futurist.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And you are involved in all these different industries. And what I notice and what kind of what makes me proud is I see you on Golf's Grow the Game initiative. I see you making posts. I see you replying to posts. So to me, golf isn't just something that you've researched as a futurist. You already said you're a player. You've become a player. But it's a daily part of your life, kind of, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a golf nut. Let's put the cards on the table.
Come on.
I mean, I'm off for the summer, and my wife was on my case, because I was 8 games in 9 days. And she's kind of like, you're overdoing it. No, I'm not. And then she discovered the Advil with the back and pain relief in the office. Yeah, you're overdoing it. But it is, despite the fact I'm out there and I'm all wired up and, tech, with me, I'm not on my phone while I'm golfing. I'm not, texting. Yeah. And it does give me the luxury of time to think. Awesome. I've got so many upcoming presentations, so I'm out in the course and, I'm not just working in my shop, but I'm thinking through, okay, what's this mean in terms of, what I'm talking about in terms of this group of architects or, insurance or, other clients I'm working on. I've got the luxury of time where I can, my job is to think.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if I'm out there golfing, I mean, that's just an opportunity to spend time thinking.
Yeah. Do you listen to music while you're out there yet?
Yeah.
No. That's like a, super popular trend. People take their little speakers out
and that's a bit of a question I often get from people when they're talking. I talk a lot about golf and tech and, the purist that's going to ruin the game. And, Look, when the internet came along, everybody said, we're all going to become a bunch of cyber dweeb losers without a life, and, we're not going to talk to people anymore. That doesn't happen. We're social creatures. And so, even though people are starting to take tech on a golf course, we're still social creatures, and we enjoy our time talking to people and walking with people. And I mean, in my home club, a private course, I mean, I got 70-year-old guys, 80-year-old guys who still walk and carry their bags. And, golf with a guy the other day has been golfing 57 years. And what a delightful conversation with that fellow. As he tells me his stories. So even though I've got all this tech and I think it's a tool to grow the game, we're still humans and we're still going to seek that side of the game. So speakers, the earbuds in my head is, listening to music while I'm golfing. No, I'm not doing that.
You picked up the game at the age of 50, is that right?
Yes. I took up skiing at the age of 40, so I tend to do things late in life.
What was your first experience with golf, though? Not necessarily hitting a golf ball, but I mean, how did golf play a role in your life pre-50?
Well, I mean, I was your typical weekend hacker.
Yeah.
Typical stag party,
charity
chance
event,
to get a charity event, crap like that, and really no game. And, I played at Glen Abbey where, Tiger Woods won a couple of, it's a top-end Canadian course. And, I remember my tee shot like 30 years ago and slammed it off the first hole and into the window of a BMW. I mean, that was awesome.
Yeah.
The driver was my son, now the one handicap. And, he said to me maybe 6 years ago, he was really getting into it, and we were out for a round, and he said, Dad, you're kind of embarrassing. Maybe you should get some lessons. I mean, that's a powerful driver, right? I mean,
Sure.
But the other fact was I'm in Phoenix, I'm in Vegas, I'm in Amelia Island, I'm in Orlando, high-end golf resort. I fly in, get there at noon. My keynote is, I'm on stage the next morning, and I'm looking out at the course and going like,
what am I doing?
What am I doing? I should be out there. And so I sort of started from there, and I just got the bug big time.
Do you take lessons?
I do. I take lessons from a fellow who I started with about 6 or 7 years ago, and he's not at my home club. He's at a little driving range. It's sort of like it's almost like it's out of the movie Tin Cup. I mean, it's a real scrab apple place, But I understand him. He's got a real capability to teach. My home club, I had lessons from a fellow named Jerry Anderson, who was the European Tour winner. He held the European Tour record for a long time until Ernie Els came along and, took it some 20 years later.
Wow.
He's a remarkable guy. And that's the first thing I did when I was on stage in Orlando at the PGA show. I mean, the big phrase this year, thank a pro. Thanks, PGA Pro.
Yeah.
I thank the 3 PGA pros in my life who, I think have really helped to shape. And I do think I don't do enough lessons. I'm one of those guys, let's get out there and play. I probably should do more because you saw my stats. I mean, I don't have distance off my drive.
Yeah.
I think what's happening is the PGA is doing a good job of trying to get the role of the pro out there. But they can probably be doing a lot more in terms of social media and other tools to continue to try to accomplish that.
Now, you remember Golf 2.0, right? That was the PGA of America's kind of plan, multifaceted plan to begin to grow the game and attract new players. That was released, I think, in 2012-ish, sometime around then, maybe a little bit earlier. Really haven't seen a lot of action from that in terms of growth or bringing in more of a female contingent or the younger game. I don't know if you've been following that, but how much of the growth of the game is going to come from the outside in? In other words,
huge.
The fast and the agile as opposed to the big guys inside the industry.
One word: Topgolf.
Yeah.
Awesome. I actually had the opportunity to, have a long phone conversation with the CEO of Topgolf because I had them on my panel discussion at the PGA show in Orlando. I had the chief information officer for Topgolf as part of my panel. If you watch social media, if you look at the buzz that is out there, if you look at the news reports, I mean, Las Vegas Topgolf on a Friday night, there's a 3-hour lineup to get in. It's golf at a driving range with booze and chicken wings.
Yeah.
And tech. And tech. I mean, that's absolutely critical. And I think what it's doing is it's drawing, young people into the idea of golf. And, the CEO and people in Topgolf will tell you that, people are coming in and they do get a certain number who then go, this is kind of cool. I'm going to go out and try it.
Yeah.
I think something like that is profound. I think that, the impact of social media, I've been tracking quite recently, and I'm fascinated by what's going on here at the Instagram group, Women with Drive. And have you seen this? You want to sign up to it. And it's young ladies across the country who are encouraging other young ladies to get involved in the game of golf. And they're establishing these social get-togethers, to encourage other young ladies to come out and golf. They're using Instagram as a tool to draw people into this. And I'm sitting back and thinking, wow, it's absolutely fascinating to watch, but wow, what a wonderful way to pull, new people into this absolutely wonderful game. So social media, I think, is having a huge impact. I think people who have a passion for the game and want to grow the game are realizing that, it's things like that which can draw people into the game. So you just found it online?
Yeah, it's right here, Women with Drive. Okay, so are they being successful? They have 151,000 followers.
Yeah, boy.
So
I think something's working there. I know someone like Paige Sopranic, whatever her name.
Paige Renee.
There's a lot of people in the golf industry who kind of diss her, and she's not a real pro and doesn't play that well, and but man, look at her followers and look at the drawing that she has, and I think anything which helps to draw people into the idea of the game is a great thing. So Golf 2.0. Maybe it worked, maybe it didn't work, but the important thing was that it was an initiative that somebody tried, that they pursued. It's better to try and do something than to not do anything at all. That's the message I always preach on stage.
Yeah, just do something, right? Yeah, you got to stop talking about it at some point. You got to stop planning, and you just got to get out there and do it. And if it doesn't work, then you learn so much. And then you learn from that and you move on. Let's talk about this. A golf course is a minimum of probably 130 acres, 150, couple hundred acres of mown grass property. We've got a game that fewer and fewer people are playing. We're down to 24 million now, down from 30, 6 or 7 years ago. So my interest is things like speed golf, these alternative golf experiences, that's kind of now what they're all being categorized. Topgolf is considered one of them, but so are things like foot golf, which is actually taking place on a golf course property. So give me your thoughts on alternative golf experiences like speed golf, foot golf. There's a fling golf. I don't know if you follow Alex Van Allen and fling golf, which is basically like he built a lacrosse.
Haven't seen that one.
Yeah, it's like a lacrosse stick. It's got a little catcher there, and you can wing it 150, 200 yards, just like like you're throwing a lacrosse ball. But very popular up in the Northeast with that. Of course, foot golf is popular everywhere because it's soccer. And then speed golf is kind of attracting, the more athletic running crew. So how do you see the future of these alternative golf experiences as they might roll into a golf course and its operation?
This is where I need to catch myself because my first reaction when I started hearing about foot golf was, well, like that's kind of weird, that's kind of dumb, and then the side of me that says, well, wait, you're an innovation guru, you're supposed to be all about new ideas, you can't do that, and so I have to be of a mindset that it's a good thing. It's people trying ideas, and if the idea works, great. If it doesn't work, it's still an idea that was tried. Your thing with speed golf. I've been following it and read about it, and I follow your Facebook posts, and yeah, there's going to be a good chunk of people out there who will be into that thing. There was an article that was in the New York Times a few weeks ago that cycling in Silicon Valley is coming to replace golf as the networking tool of choice. And that's because it's based around fitness, it's based around health, it's based around
time,
the constant time, all those issues. And somebody commented on that. Well, no, but golf still gives you a networking opportunity which is unparalleled because of the post-golf experience. And so, if you get a bunch of people who are interested in fitness and, then you get together for a round of drinks after the speed golf round,
yeah,
it's a good thing. It's drawing people into the game. So I think any idea which promotes the game in various ways is a good thing. That's what innovation is all about. No idea is too dumb.
Yeah, and these days you're not looking for the Grand Slam idea that's going to bring 5 million people back right away. It's more, speed golf's going to bring its little niche market. Foot golf's going to bring its little niche market. And, by the way, speed golf, because we play faster, you have to go off first thing in the morning. Either that or you got to go off the back nine first thing in the morning. But, the point is you're going out during kind of non-core golfer times. You're going out way early or way late. So it's really just this way to kind of prop up and provide some ancillary revenue for the golf operation. That's really where I see, in terms of golf courses staying open, in my opinion, they're going to have to start reaching out to and turning away from the golf industry and trying to attract non-golfers, i.e. runners, to come in and do that kind of thing. One of the other things we're working on, Jim, is like a golf exercise program. And I don't mean exercising so you can be better at golf. I mean actually showing up at the golf course because you're going to meet a trainer there on the driving range. And then maybe you'll spend half an hour out on the golf course, getting exercise, getting aerobic exercise. And it's not so much about traditional golf and the score. It's more about just being out in nature, being out on this property. And playing a game that's maybe you're kicking the soccer ball down, or maybe you're, if you have golf skill, you can hit it or whatever. But getting it's golf as exercise.
That strikes a chord with me. I mean, I've got a personal trainer I see, twice a week, and we've got a full-fledged gym at our private club. And, the idea of getting out of the gym and, doing a series of things on the course, that could be a great idea. And that's what we need in the industry. You mentioned this thing, we're not going to draw 5 million people back into the game. And, I think that's a point of frustration with me and a lot of folks is you see these articles in the New York Times and elsewhere that, golf is dying and, numbers are declining. The reality is the numbers are pretty stable for passionate golfers. There is no real decline with passionate golfers, and there is an increase in the number of potential passionate golfers. And I think we need to fight back against that media buzz because I don't think it really bears relation to the reality of what is occurring. And sure, a lot of public courses are closing down, but a lot of private courses are doing okay and keeping their membership up to date. I know my home club is certainly doing well. And part of that is because they are expanding the capabilities, more money going into the gym, ancillary services, ancillary activities. It's not just a golf course. It's more of a family facility. We've got a swimming pool and, more swimming lessons, anything to get people in the door of the club, because that's what's going to help to sustain the club over time.
Yeah. And I even get a sense that the way people look at a golf course 5-10 years from now will be completely different than the way they look at it right now. I could see a golf course becoming more like a golf park, where traditional golf is just one. Maybe it's the main thing that happens at a golf park or a golf course, but we've used technology. Like that's the other thing, dynamic pricing and starting to work with a tee sheet, and you really use technology to push that whole industry forward.
Well, I mean, golf now. So my son and I are in Phoenix, and we're going out for a second 18. One day it's January, and we're taking advantage of the warm weather, and we're sitting outside Rancho Mañana up by Carefree, and I look online at the tee fee, the green fee, and it's a little pricey. And my son says to me, well, just wait 10 minutes, Dad, and it's going to drop on Golf Now, and it did. It was cutting 50%. Surge pricing. And, when I did the talk actually it was last year, I did a opening keynote for the Sporting and Fitness Industry Association. I was actually followed on stage by Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL. That was kind of cool. Whoa. But I reached out to Derek Sprague of the PGA and said, tell me how the world of the PGA Pro has changed. And he offered up that example. He said, the PGA Pro 5 years ago didn't have to know about surge pricing. They didn't have to know about reservation system technology. But now it's like they have to manage their golf course just as an airline CEO or a hotel executive has to manage availability of airline seats in hotels. The demands on their skills are increasing at a furious pace. And, Derek nailed it with that observation. What people need to know as a PGA Pro is changing at a huge degree because of technologies like Golf Now. And even though, there's a lot of friction in the industry in terms of what Golf Now is doing with their business model to courses, it's real. It's like Uber. It's not going away. So let's figure out how we deal with this stuff. And that's going to require, change of skills and capabilities.
Almost like a blue ocean strategy. You're turning away from, because we're not struggling, like you said, with latent golfers, or I like what you say, which is passionate. golfers, but there's there's 35 or 40 million latent golfers, people that want to play that just haven't found the time to go and play. So entrepreneurs, pioneers, people that are interested in that love the game of golf, that also want to use their business skills, should be jumping in. This is an opportunity like never before, is what I see. And in working with golf operators, I think they're more open than ever before to the new, to the exciting, to the different, anything that's going to bring in and attract a new customer. So you're definitely bullish on the game of golf moving forward.
Oh yeah, big time. Maybe I'm a little biased because I've become an absolute nut about it, but right. I see nothing but upside for it, and I mean, that's the message I carry into a lot of my clients. My running joke is, as a futurist, I can't walk on stage and say, guess what, your future sucks, because I wouldn't get a lot of repeat business.
Exactly.
But, if we're to focus on growth and opportunity, innovation, we have to be positive and we have to look for the upside. And, I think we need more of that in the game of golf, because I think too many people beat up on it, given what has happened with past trends. I think there's a huge opportunity to bring, continued new people into the game. I think it's going to happen through technology with this generation. And let's, bang that drum in a big way. Let's, have guys like you do what, you're doing in terms of new innovative ways of thinking about golf. And, any idea is a great idea. Just, continue on that path.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're out on the golf course as a golfer, what's the most frustrating thing that can happen to you? What's a part of the game that you just kind of go, ugh, I wish we could fix this?
Well, you can fix it. So, my home club it's called Credit Valley, Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. We cross a river 8 times. And I mean, it's extremely dispiriting because on 6 of those holes, the river is in play. And so, golf has the, what's the phrase for it? Play to your handicap.
Right.
I've recently moved up to a hybrid tees, which takes the water out of play on 4 of those 6 holes. And that has dropped my handicap in pretty short time from 24 to 17. And I haven't been in the water. And I had one round where no sand, no water. Every, iron shot was a bullet onto the green, and my putting was awesome. I had an 83.
Wow.
And it was like, wow, holy cow, this game isn't frustrating. This is a huge amount of fun. And I think, there needs to be more of that. I mean, I find it pretty ridiculous when you get a bunch of guys, show up at a course and, they're playing off the tips, and you watch their first shot and you realize, like, they shouldn't be there. They have no idea what they're doing. And there's this macho mindset around it. We got to get away from that. More of a willingness to check your ego at the gate. Play to your capability. That I think we need to push a lot stronger. I mean, I've done that. Now I'm like, wow, this is a whole new game. Boy, this is a hell of a lot of fun.
And you're having so much more fun. Exactly. Okay, so let's say you're out there. You don't have anyone in front of you. You're having a good time. Maybe you're playing with your son. How long does a typical round of golf take you to play?
4 hours, 16 minutes. When I joined this private club, it was a big financial commitment, and I was kind of stressed because am I going to be capable to play with these people who played golf for 57 years? The very first thing said to me by a member was, "We don't care how you play, just keep up the pace of play." And they are religious on pace of play. 4 hours, 16 minutes. I think that's kind of critical. I mean, on the occasion when I'm spoiled, when I have to go back to a public course, 6 hours with a bunch of guys who are drinking, I'm kind of like, this isn't fun. And I think, we need to be, more focused on that. And maybe that's a bit of a rules thing, a little bit more relaxation in the rules. I know my home club has trimmed out some of the areas of hazards and, put mulch down. It's because guys were spending 5 or 10 minutes to find a ball. Well, let's get rid of that idiocy.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a big focus in the industry on pace of play, and, let's continue to bang that drum, because you're thinking about speed golf. It's about time. It's pace of play. We've got shorter time to fit in. More rounds of 9.
Yes.
The idea of golf architecture with what we call cloverleaf courses, where you've got 6 to go out, 6 to go out, 6 to go out, 6 to go out. So you can do 6, 12, 18, or 24.
Yeah.
That's a new design in terms of architectural thinking of golf courses, which makes sense. I mean, why not 6 holes? Why not 12?
I think Tom Lehman just did something like that, I think down in Florida.
Brilliant ideas. The whole trend towards not having these crazy, stupid courses, that are playing to the strength of, Bubba Watson and others. I mean, the rest of us are average humans, so let's not have these ridiculous courses with ridiculous carries and stuff like that. Let's make them more human. I think that type of thinking is coming back to the industry. There needs to be more of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this idea that you can play golf for different reasons on different days. I think once time starts to be understood as a kind of a factor for the type of experience that you want to have on the golf course. I mean, some days I like to run as fast as I can and play 9 holes in 24 minutes. And some days I like to play 18 holes with my buddies just like I used to with traditional golf. And some days I like to walk fast and play in 2 hours, and I can find a time to go out and do each one of those. But I have a sense that still when people think about golf, they think about that 4 hour and 20 minute or 4.5 hour commitment plus driving there and hitting range balls and staying after for beer, when there's a time for that. But I want people to know.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be that, and that needs to be part of the messaging that the industry continues to push out. And I mean, they're trying. I think going back to the PGA, I think there's a lot of innovative thinking there. On the other hand, I mean, the USGA and crazy rules and bunkers and they're not doing a lot to encourage the game. So I think the industry, to a degree, needs to do a bit more work to deal with that type of messaging. Make it friendly. Don't make it look silly. Don't make it look like a bunch of idiots who are obsessive over rules, and these rules don't necessarily apply to the average human.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I mean, Australia, I've had the opportunity to speak with them, their business development director, and he basically said, look, we are open to anything right now. Like, we want to support any program that's trying to grow the game. And so we had a conversation about that. Golf New Zealand has now just backed Speed Golf New Zealand, so they're going to partner together. Look at what's going on over in Europe. I mean, the European Tour is having some of their best players like Lee Westwood and Jimenez put on old clothes and play with the hickory sticks on Wednesday before the tournament starts, and they're doing their own version of speed golf where they had Sergio Garcia and like teams of 4 out on a par 5, and one person would hit and the other person would run up underneath it and hit it onto the green. I mean, to me, they've already made the change. They're already promoting these different fun, more exciting versions of the game. I feel like here in the United States, for some reason, why are we still lagging? Why is the USGA still kind of, I feel like they're not taking that mantle or taking that role. They're more concerned about protecting the traditions of the game than they are, which, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, are we behind in the U.S.?
Boy, that's a tough one. I mean, the USGA and the Royal and Ancient, there is a group of purists out there. When I did my PGA talk, there is some people who took exception to the ideas that I was, expressing, and they were kind of going, we don't need technology in golf. It's going to ruin the game, yada, yada, yada. So there are other purists out there, and I think they do have a big influence on what the USGA does. And I don't think some of the actions they've done do anything to help to promote the game, because to the mind of the average public, they kind of go, what a bunch of losers. I don't want to get involved in that. And so I think there needs to be more pushback on that type of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one thing I want to do. They just announced their 2017 symposium. And so I want to, I'm nobody, but I want to give them a call, and I'm trying to make a difference in that world. And I've been doing that for several years. So hopefully I can at least maybe get a voice and be able to.
The PGA of America's had me in twice. So maybe, the USGA should, bring me in to shake up their world. Cause I think the feedback I got when I did that 2010 keynote for them, some of the folks, PGA pros in the room were like, this is exactly the message we needed. Jim really helped to shake up our concept of what we need to do in the future. And a lot of that video is on my website. You can find an extensive number of clips from that 2010 keynote and the merchandise show on my site where I'm talking about what we need to do in the industry to shake up this game.
Yeah, JimCarroll.com, JimCarroll, guys. Go check that out. But yeah, your website is full of information. You could spend an hour or more on there just gleaning it all. Let me ask you, when you're done with a keynote, do you have a follow-up? So let's say there's an organization that says, man, that was a great keynote that really inspired us, but how do you help us take the next step? I mean, do you
No, most of what I do is keynotes at this point. I don't do a lot of detailed consulting. I do about 45, 50 events a year.
Yeah, that's your focus.
And leave it at that, yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Awesome. All right, well, I don't want to take any more of your time, Jim. It's been such a pleasure having you on here, and I'll tell you the last thing I wanted to tell you that we're doing. We were talking about corporate outings before. These days, you go to a corporate outing, it's a 6-hour experience at least. You know, those things get so slow. What we're going to be doing for some of our speed golf events next year is we're going to be offering timed flights. So you can either do like the running that we do.
Yeah.
Or you can say, okay, I'm going to play in under 2 hours, and I'll take my score. I just got to finish in under 2 hours. But then the other thing we're going to do is it's going to be called a speed golf scramble or a 3-hour scramble. So you have your foursome. It's just like a regular scramble, but your foursome has 10 minutes to play every hole. So you have to decide if the first guy bombs it right down the middle, do you want your other 3 teammates to be hitting it, or let's save time, let's go out there in the middle of the fairway and try and hit 4 good shots. But whatever your strategy is, it now involves more of that strategy. But every 10 minutes, a horn goes off, and you got to move to the next hole. So you know that you're going to be done with this scramble in 3 hours. And as playing as much speed golf as I have, I know that will not be difficult for a scramble for a foursome to play in 3 hours. But we're really hoping that shows people like, oh my gosh, I just played in 3 hours. I didn't feel like I was rushed. And maybe they'll take that back to their regular game. Certainly, if I get an opportunity with one of these events, I sure would love to have you out and get to meet you in person.
Yeah, we'll have to get out for a round. We'll follow up on that.
Yeah, absolutely, Jim. Well, thank you for your time. We'll stay in touch. We'll take it offline and stay in touch, but really appreciate your time. The work that you're doing is amazing, and I greatly respect you. So, all right, guys, everybody, Jim Carroll, we'll talk to you later.
Okay, sir. Good
All
chat.
right,
Take care.
Thank you.
Keep in touch.
Bye-bye. All right, guys, episode 30 in the books. Did you enjoy that? Jim Carroll, amazing. What a fantastic career he's carved out for himself, and it really was an honor to have him on the podcast. So we'll be staying in touch with him as we move forward. We hope you enjoy each and every one of our weekly podcasts with the thought leaders, pioneers, and game changers in the golf industry. Thank you for listening today. Hey, you can support our efforts over here as well by following us on Facebook /Pace of Change, on Twitter @PaceOfChangePod. Like we always mention, visit our website, paceofchange.com, and sign up for our newsletter to stay up to speed on the latest POC podcast news, announcements, and updates. Subscribe on iTunes. We ask you that every week. Again, we put in hours and hours and hours to make sure we're bringing you top-notch, top-quality podcasts. So head over to iTunes and leave a review. Go subscribe over at YouTube if that's where you get your content or some of your content. Subscribe over there, leave a review, leave a comment. Every action that you take keeps the conversation moving and gets more people involved. So thank you for doing that. All right, guys, until next week, like we always say, pick up the pace and play from your heart.